Travis been good, so it's after 9 a.m. The janitors are doing their thing, and yet we still have people who are resting on this Constantine-altered Babylonian superstitious day. Accurate history is vital to living our lives, as errors in history can cause errors in our lives, such as believing God created the Sabbath day with the creation of the earth. Yeah. And so let's poke the teddy bear of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. In section 1 of the Doctrine and Covenants. And the arm of the Lord shall be revealed, and the day cometh. Anybody remember Nelson? Coming days, Jesus. That they who will not hear the voice of the Lord. Wait a minute. That's not Jesus. That's referring to the Jewish Christ of the latter days from the prophecy in the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 18, verses 15 through 18. Uh-oh. That Joseph Smith says is our Christ. Joseph Smith history, verse 40. Neither the voice of the servants, neither give heed to the words of the prophets and apostles shall be cut off. I've done the videos. We weren't going over that today. We're getting to verse 16. For they have strayed from mine ordinances and have broken mine everlasting covenant. So if Jesus was real as a literal historical character during the Roman period time and failed, because according to the record he failed, he tried to get a movement going and was murdered. And so Christianity under Constantine then has to make adjustments to explain it and say that the Son of Man he's talking about in Matthew 24 is actually Jesus, and he's coming back again to finish the job, to fulfill prophecy. Yeah, no. But nonetheless, he did not establish the temple rituals. And so it wasn't until Joseph Smith. And so who is he talking to here? Who are they being referred to here? Yeah, it's Mormons. Just as all other passages talk about Mormons. And so thus, section 85, verse 7, for example, the man like Moses, one mighty and strong, is to set in order the temple. That's where the everlasting covenant of marriage comes from. And where the ordinances of washing and anointing come from. Where Mormons become Christ. Melchizedek's son Ammon's, to give birth to the latter-day son Ammon. I've done the videos, we're not going over that. 16. They, Mormons, seek not the Lord to establish his righteousness. But every Mormon walketh in his own way, after the image of their own God. There we go. There's the topic for the video. Whose image is in the likeness of the world, and whose substance is that of an idol, which waxeth old and shall perish in Babylon? Huh? The church in 1981 claimed they decoded all the coded words in the Doctrine and Covenants. What's going on here? Did they miss one and forget to tell us? It's right in the very beginning of the book. How could Bruce R. McConkie miss this? But, you know, Babylon the Great, which shall fall. Well, the Book of Mormon talks about the great and abominable church that shall fall, and that comes from the Book of Revelation that uses Babylon as the great and abominable church which shall fall. Mormons are in the great and abominable church in the latter days. What would be the name of that church? Of the great and abominable, Joseph Smith History, verse 19, church? What would be the name of that Christ? That abominable Christ. What would be his name? Mormons, who get angry because of Nelson's talk about Jesus, or Lucifer cheering when people use the word Mormon. We must say the name. Yeah, it's blatantly right in front of our faces. And they're mocking you if you're innocent and just naive and ignorant, as I was. But for you to know the truth and to still deny it to others, hoping that you can deny it to yourself, that's where you become evil. You become a threat to the world. But this creation of our personal truth, God, it comes from what psychologists have done to everybody in allowing opinions and feelings to be our truth, our personal truth. This is what is being discussed here. The image of our own God, where we, through our own beliefs, opinions, and feelings, say that what we do is good with God, or what we would do would be bad with God, so we don't do them. And then it goes to an extreme with certain fanatical Mormons where they impose their truth, standards, and values upon other Mormons and upon those in the world. And so, for example, the religious freedom movement, to be exempt from criminal behavior. Yeah, well, that's already been in implementation. For example, pornography. It's composed of 2 Greek words, but was never a Greek word. It was not until the late 1800s when the word first emerged as having to do with a debasing condition. And it had nothing to do with women's bodies. That was the evangelical movement that transferred that new word's meaning to women. And it's not only body shaming, but it is debasing through this idolatrous practice. The belief that a woman's body is evil for a man and therefore has power over men to control them. This is where the Salem witch trials in America was based upon. The belief that women are inherently wicked, as the redactor of the writings of Paul had informed us, as the mistranslation of the Bible blaming Eve for the fall. And I've done the videos. I even got booted out of the church by my bishop in the last residence I was in because of the video I did saying the Book of Mormon is true. Adam fell that man might be. Adam fell that man might be. Because if we were to take the story literally and correct as translated, Eve's the heroine of the story. She's the great goddess who saved mankind and brought us into being. And yet that's not the case in Christianity, is it? Or Judaism? Or Islam? Is it? What happened? Where did it go wrong? It's because Adam fell. That's from the Egyptian documents. And so I found out that the Book of Mormon is correct on this doctrinal matter. And section 29, verse 40 and 36 include that as well. And so you can see that when you have an incorrect belief, feeling, opinion, you then act on those. And in acting upon those, you enforce them on other people. If you're a alt-right Mormon mother, what do you do to your kids? You impose your morality on your kids. And don't tell me that's not the case. I was born and raised in the covenant. I know exactly what I'm talking about. You guys tend to forget that as you create me as the other, so that you can judge me as the evil person to justify what you do as evil as good for your image of your God. You make me the enemy. And that's what you have done. You have fulfilled Joseph Smith's prophecy. Because Joseph Smith is a prophet, right? This passage of prophecy is true, right? Or are you going to now claim that Joseph Smith is a fraud and not a prophet? That he is not true? That this passage is wrong? Good luck with that. And so, the temple, we're given magic underwear. We magically put names on the prayer rolls of the temple to heal people. Notice the word magic. That's witchcraft. It is the common denominator of all religion. But only witchcraft, or witches, are associated with witchcraft. What's wrong with that picture? And so, reading the Book of Mormon to get a feeling, so that you now think you know the truth, praying to get a feeling, these are superstitious practices based on an idolatrous belief system. And the prophets have perpetuated this, as they are in the You're welcome. As they are and this puts you into bondage because you are mentally being controlled. You are not freely acting using science, using logic and the Socratic method. You are being controlled. You are told that all you need is that feeling, and that feeling is true, and you run with it. You have been deceived. And it's destroying this nation. Because YouTube, for example, they claim that they have this thing called community guidelines. And when you realize what it is, it's a violation of the Supreme Court decision regarding decency. And number 3's question in the Supreme Court decision was that any form of art does not constitute pornography. And Christianity doesn't like that. And so with YouTube and other social media platforms using community guidelines, even Microsoft and Google, community guidelines, what it's actually saying is that we are imposing our moral, religious opinion, belief, and feeling, and imposing it on everyone. We are taking away other people's religious freedom if they violate ours. This is criminal. YouTube is in violation of the law because they're using community guidelines to cover or front for their religious bias, bigotry, hatred, sexism, racism, anti-Semitism. There are lots of women on YouTube who have suffered because of YouTube and their community guidelines. It is evil, it is wrong. But that's what happens when you walk in your own way after the image of your own God. And this was specifically talking to Mormons, but you can see that it is a national security threat.